Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to pheno hunt like a pro when you're popping seeds. And make sure you don't lose that unicorn when you find it. But before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Grow Dots, the easiest way to feed your high-value plants. You mix Grow Dots in once at the beginning of your grow, and they feed your plants all the way to harvest. You don't have to worry about nutrient burn or nutrient lockout. Grow Dots does all the hard work for you. Check them out over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, High C, let's do this, man. Let's pop some beans.
All right, let's first off start off by explaining what pheno hunting is, because I learned from you.
Sure.
And you're pretty much a clone guy.
Yeah.
And this was a new phrase for me.
You know, I pop seeds as well. Not as often as I do clones, but I do pop seeds enough to know what I'm talking about. Pheno hunt is phenotype. Phenotype, when you have a pack of seeds, you'll have a bunch of different variations in those seeds. Sometimes you'll have more than others, but you'll have, one might flower a little bit earlier, one might flower a little bit later, but bigger buds. One might be frostier, one might be taller. Those are phenotypical expression. And you can get, depending on which pack of seeds you can get a lot of different phenotypical expressions. And that's why seeds are fun.
Even if it's all seeds from one strain from one mother and father plant.
Yes. Yep. It's just the way it goes, man. Genetics. It's the same thing when you have kids, right? Some come out tall, some come out short, some come out like me.
Magnificently beautiful is what you're trying to say?
Man, shucks. Nothing like my brother, that's for sure.
Okay. And why do people pheno hunt? What's the point of this?
I guess there's two reasons. One is because you're looking for that amazing strain. You've heard everybody growing cherry paloma, so you want to get a pack of cherry paloma seeds so you can experience that. And then the other is the opposite, and that would be that you want something that nobody has. You want a cherry paloma crossed with gelato, and you want to see what kind of weird genetics are unlocked from there, and something that you can bring to the next DGC Cup, and nobody's has it.
Okay, so there's two kind of goals. There's, hey, I know that these two plants usually have these traits.
Yep.
I want to get the best expression that
Sure.
I can. That's like, I know a mom and a dad, and their kids are probably going to be in this range.
Sure.
Going to try and get the best kid possible. But then you mentioned also sometimes looking for something completely unexpected.
Yep. Those are called unicorns, or folks call them unicorns. And this is why if you ever look on a seed pack, you'll see and yeah, that is why when you look at seed catalogs, it'll have the name, gelato, whatever, and then it'll have something like a little code, F1, F2, S1, IBL, and all those mean something. All those mean how many of them are you going to get to look like the mom or the dad, and then how many unicorns are you going to get. And I can do it in 30 seconds or less. Ready?
Okay.
F1s, half are going to look like the mom, half are going to look like the dad. They have this something called hybrid vigor because you're putting two different strains together and you get this super vigorous plant. That's where you get a real vigorous clone. F1s are really popular. F2s, that's where you get your unicorns from. For some genetic reason, it goes back and accesses even the grandparents' genes. So it unlocks, they call it the Pandora's box. It unlocks all those genetics. A lot of fun if you're just growing for fun. And then as you go down, if you see F3, F4, F5, and then IBL is the most stable, but as you go up, they get more and more stable. So it's more going to look like the parent, what you see in the picture. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
So if you're looking for a unicorn, stick with the F2s.
I mean, you can find them. Yeah, I would say F1s or F2s, but yeah, I do think the F2s is where they come from. And I will say this is the science behind it, your 20,000 foot overview. I'm not the breeder or the guy to be the complete expert at this, but I gave you enough so you can talk to a breeder at the next cup, Hey, one last thing is you will see feminized seed, and I can explain that really easy. Feminized seed is when they take a female plant, they treat it with a chemical, silver thiosulfate or some weird chemical. It stresses the plant out enough to think it's dying and make its own pollen. Because that pollen comes from a female plant, it's female pollen, so whatever you pollinate that plant with, there's no male chromosome, it's definitely going to be a female.
And that way the seeds that come from that plant only have the chance of becoming females.
Yep, which is cool. I mean, if I'm a commercial grower, it's cool. if I'm someone that is making their own medicine and loves how natural this plant is, I don't know, it might freak me out, man. I might prefer to go with reg seeds, and a lot of people still like reg seeds.
But that brings us to the point. If you're popping seeds, you're looking for a unicorn, or you're looking for the best expression, and you're just buying a seed pack, you do run the risk of having some males pop up in your grow.
Yeah, unless you're running feminized seeds. I found this really cool hack that can save you probably half the time, probably shave a month off sexing the plants. And that is, as soon as these seedlings are ready, as soon as they've grown up in the solo cup, and maybe at 10 days, 2 weeks, maybe it would take, you'll have an apical Murray stem. You'll have some side branching come. I cut that apical Murray stem off and I put it in the cloning chamber. I immediately take that cloning chamber and put it under 12-12.
So you put that one under flower lights while the main seedling is still in veg.
Yep, you can put it in your flower room. You can bring it to another room if you don't have a dedicated 12-12 flower space at that time. But the idea is they're going to root and they're going to show sex at the same time. Maybe it'll take, because clones are mature. Normally it takes a seedling a couple weeks to get to where it can show its sex. These clones are mature, so within a couple weeks, you're going to be seeing little pistils come out. You'll be seeing these signs that what the females are. So at that point, you can go over, you cull the males in your cloning chamber, and then you can cull the males that are in veg. And I like to put them in solo cups. Maybe they're in 1 gallon containers at this point, growing nice and big. Then I just call you. And by the way, 1 gallon containers are 6 inches. You can put 4 of them per square foot. Very space efficient. You don't have to spread them out because of these little plants. So at the end of a couple weeks, you're throwing out half your males. You're calling half your males. You've got a whole bunch of these females that are beautiful. They're ready to either transplant into real buckets or transplant into your finishing containers. And you are so far ahead of the game than if you had done it the traditional way of, okay, I'm going to grow this plant out big enough to where I can cut a clone. I'm going to cut a clone. I'm going to put it in the cloning chamber, and then I'm going to flower this thing out for a month in my main flowering room, and then I'm going to pull half of those out. I just wasted so much time, So this method of flowering clones is cool, man. It really does save a bunch of time.
Yeah, and if you're growing from seed, if you're pheno hunting, and you've got to worry about the males, this does take a lot of the risk away, as well as wasted space, wasted light, wasted energy.
Yeah, I don't think about it. This never happened to me. I'm knocking on fake wood here, but pollinating a room while pheno hunting, oh my God, how do you explain that? Oh, hey, man, one thing I left out, and this is probably pretty obvious, but once you find out that those plants are female from the cloning chamber, you want to clone those plants before you throw them into flower, just so you have, when you find your keeper pheno. One time I had a pack of seeds, I found one that was done in 47 days. That was the keeper. Shout out.
And did you make sure you had a clone of that before?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I will say, if I didn't have a clone of that, I would have just taken that plant, and you can re-veg them. It takes forever. You can take a plant from flower, cut most of the foliage off it, and put it back into veg, and 6 months later, it'll probably come back. You can do that, but that's some hormonal weirdness there.
And you don't want to clone from a plant that's already in flower.
No, because the hormones have changed. It's gone from flowering, from veg hormones and rooting hormones to flowering. So you'd really like to avoid doing that. It can be done, but remember, these hormones change. So it's definitely not best practice.
Okay, so let's do a real quick recap.
Sure. So remember, when it comes to seeds, if you're pheno hunting, the F1s, half look like the mom, half look like the dad. You're going to get a whole bunch of hybrid vigor. Remember those F2s, they say unlocking the Pandora's box of the grandparents' genetics and all that, so you get your real unicorns from there. And then remember F3, F4, F5, F6. IBL is the one where it's an inbred line. It means it's going to look just like the picture. Pretty cool. And remember, if you're working with a pack of reg seeds where you're going to get male and females, remember you want to grow them out maybe in a solo cup, cut a clone off it as soon as they're ready, Put that clone in your cloning chamber under 12-12 while you're vegging the other ones out, and that'll tell you your sex. It's a real cool way to save over a month and to save a whole bunch of time and expense in your flower room where it really costs. And then the last thing, before you move those seedlings that you already know what sex they are in the flower, make sure you take your clones from there. And then take several clones, and those are going to be your next crop. Hey, but those are just my best tips for pheno hunting. But come on, I know y'all have some tips yourself. What did I miss? Let me know in the comments. And come on, if you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Come on, share this one with another grower you know, and check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommended. We think you'll dig them.